Hello and welcome to a whole new episode of Scale Up Stories in collaboration with the Taste of Kent Awards. Yes, Digital Beans and Producing Kent are coming together for a number of shows for your ears that are aimed at learning a little bit more about what the Taste of Kent Awards mean to the local Kent food and drink community. Plus, we're going to be speaking to the finalists of this year's awards themselves, finding out more about their passions and why Kent is such a special place for them and is such an incredible so to speak, platform to be able to have their business thrive from. Today on the show, we've got Grace, the co-owner of Goupie, on with us. We've got Steve, the owner of Street Farm Dairy. And actually, Steve is the person who we're going to start with on the show today. And you're going to notice one thing. If you're watching this in video format, not so much obviously in audio, but I had to record these interviews on Monday, which I had a lot more hair on Monday, and you're going to see that. So don't worry, this isn't something that happened in the last hour. I've not just quickly grabbed a haircut and all of a sudden I'm a different person. You're going to see it in the video. My hair is absolutely out of control during these interviews, but now it's all right. I'm happy enough with this. The locks are a lot shorter. Let's get over to Steve, the owner of Street Farm Dairy. They're up for Kent Dairy Product of the Year. They're up against some fantastic Kent producers in King Hot Dairy, whose Kentish Blue Cheese is also a finalist within that award category, and Whole Milk from Ben and Holly, also in that category. Their free-range double cream is what they're looking to take it home for them with. So let's find out, Cheryl, from Steve. And I started the interview by asking him a little bit more about Street Farm Dairy, his business.
Well, the business has got two halves, really. You've got the farming business, which is sort of motivated to produce milk, look after the cows, rear more cows to replace the ones that go down the road. And the other part of the business is the milk processing and delivery business. So I'm kind of over the whole lot. So the business would kick off at like 12:30 midnight. With the delivery, first delivery guy goes out, and then the second delivery guy will be on at 2, third delivery guy on at 5, and about 5:45, a guy comes in and begins to get the cows ready for milking. So they're out in the field at the moment, so he's out in the field. Nice walk in the early morning, sun's up, birds are singing. What could be nicer? 120 cows in the yard, then you've got to milk them. So you go down in a pit, which is a hole in the ground basically, and the cows stand next to you. And you've got a routine, so you spray them up with something to keep their teats clean, wipe them clean, put the units on, and away you go. And you just keep doing that until the last cow comes in. And then you clean it all down, wash it all through, and have your breakfast. So that's that bit of it. And then the other side of the business, the guy will come in at 7 and he'll set up the processing business, and he'll get on with turning that milk into bottles, put it in the cold store ready for next day's delivery. And that's the routine. And then all the other stuff bolts onto that, cutting grass, fertilizing grass, making hay, silage, on and on.
Well, obviously, from what you were just saying there's no, so to speak, mass production here. You're a family-run business, as you're saying there, in terms of bottling the milk. It's a process. How sort of tough is that process, and how much hard work goes into producing just that 1, 2, 3 pints of milk that we'd usually just go and grab off a supermarket shelf for you as a local family business?
Yeah. The hardest work really is that it never stops. Mm-hmm. So it's 7 days a week. We're producing milk 7 days a week. We're bottling 3 days a week, making cream 3 days a week. So there's always something going on. So that can create quite a bit of stress. Things go wrong. They have to be fixed. You don't have time to say, oh, I'll fix that next week. It's got to be done by tomorrow morning. So that's the actual physical work is not so bad anymore because so much of it's done by machine. The milk is bottled by machine, for example. The cows are milked by machine. The bales of hay are fed by machine. The straw is put in by machine. So a lot of it is machine work, and you're a machine operator for quite a bit of the day. But it can be a bit hairy at times.
How thankful are you for technology? Because I imagine there was at one point you acquired the business was it in the 90s, or you took the helm of the business in the 90s. And there was a time where I take it you was on your knees and you had people who had to do things manually.
Yeah, well, when we started, which would have been in the 70s, it was a lot of handwork, and that was hard work. But
Mhm.
you got used to it, and I suppose it toughened you up. And nobody really thought anything about it.
Mhm.
You know, when I was younger, you used to have 6 guys go out to get hay out in the field, and it was all put on the trailer with a pitchfork. Well, you've got 100 kilo bale, but there's only done 400 or 500 of those. You knew you'd done some work, and
Mhm.
then you'd clean out the calf pens or the cows, and it was all done by fork and a wheelbarrow. So it was hard then, but it's much easier now, and the technology just keeps going on and on. Really,
Mhm.
we've got a technology thing on the cows now that tells us when they're ready to be put in calf. How weird is that?
That
So
is
that,
strange.
yeah, that's the sort of leading edge technology that we're up against. And, you're talking about tractors that drive themselves around the field and combines that record every grain of wheat on every square inch of it. Well, it's good. It's good.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
expensive.
Amongst all that, it's good, but it is expensive. It is
It is
pricey, and who knows?
expensive. Yeah, yeah,
Who
yeah.
knows
And
what
so
they're going to come up with next? I mean, who knows
you
what
don't
could be
know.
next?
Yeah, yeah,
I was reading online on your website earlier on for Street Farm Dairy, obviously very much a family business. I
yes.
said at the
Yeah.
start, I understand you didn't find the business, but you came to acquire it years after it was founded. So what attracted you to own and run Street Farm Dairy and for your family, so to speak, through now the years to, so to speak, be so involved with the business?
Well, we had an opportunity back in the late 80s to buy a fledgling, really, milk round business from a local farmer who was moving on. And we just thought at the time it was a good idea, mad fools that we were. But it was a good idea. And basically, it meant that the milk that we were selling for very little in bulk, we could sell for a lot more money by putting it in bottles and distributing it locally. So that was really the main driver. But since sort of doing that, the financial aspect is still there, obviously. And the nice thing is that you are involved very much in the local communities. And whereas some of the national milk delivery systems have become more and more divorced from the people, we are actually very much involved with our customers. They know that if they want to, they can phone me up and talk to me. And if they've got a problem with their bill or the milk or whatever, things that haven't gone quite right, deliveries, they can phone me up and speak to me and say, "Hey, Steve, you need to sort this out. Why has it gone wrong?" And I get hold of my wife and say, "Would you go off and sort this out for me?" So she'll toddle off in the car and deliver the milk that's not been delivered or whatever the thing is. So, and it's nice to get. Sometimes I do the milk round. Sometimes I go and collect the money off the doorsteps. And it's just nice to meet people who say, "We're really glad you're here."
Do you know what what was his uncle-in-law? I suppose you sort of say that. My fiance's uncle.
Mm.
He was a milkman for a number of years, and even to this day now, when he talks about it, I sort of go, "Whoa, I couldn't do that." Like you're up literally all night. That's it. You're on your float. You're up all night. And he said it was one of the best jobs that he ever had. He absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
Loved it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
as you said there, also in the morning, first thing, doing the collections. He said that used to be a great part of it because people had time in the morning. You stand, have a NASA. It's really sociable, although it seemed like unsociable hours. He absolutely loved it. The unsung heroes, the milkman. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. So you're up for a Taste of Kent award here, Steve, which I
yeah,
find
yeah,
really, really interesting. And please, I'm going to ask you this as a very much a dumbfounded question. Now, I'm someone who I love cream with anything. If I have a bit of cake, got to have some cream on it. If I'm cooking a fresh pasta and I want to make a creamy pasta, I don't buy a jar of the sauce. I do it myself. I love cooking with fresh cream,
yeah,
and after make a curry, bit of cream in there as well. But it's very much always been one of those products where what makes a cream unique to any individual business? Now, the fact that you guys here for the Taste of Kent Awards, for the Dairy Product of the Year category, are up for your free range double cream, I think is a kudos to the work you guys at Street Farm Dairy put into it, the process, because there must be something about it for it to be recognized and voted for within this category, and for you to be a finalist as well. So tell us a little bit about the process that goes in to creating your now, potentially award-winning
Okay.
free-range double cream.
Yeah, well, I don't actually make the cream. There's a lady called Samantha who's the cream guru, and basically what happens is that the milk is heated up and it's put through a centrifuge basically, and the centrifuge separates the cream off from the skim, and you have to set the centrifuge to make various thicknesses of cream. And we've always specialised in making a very thick double cream, and it's got a reputation locally and internationally, actually, because there are some people who, when they were on holiday from the continent, they would call in and say, we want to take some of your cream home because we've got nothing like it in Germany or France or Italy or wherever they come from. So the process is, the adjusting of the machine is very precise. And to get the cream that we make, which is not like anything anybody else makes, it is just a lot of attention to detail. So she'll be in there just adjusting the machine until it's exactly right. And that's what comes out into the pots. You know, we make other sorts of cream as well, but the flagship is the free range double cream.
I say this all the time. It's I think the difference between local produce like this that potentially maybe shouldn't taste a whole lot different is the experience within it, and the fact that it's made with love, it's made independently, and it's made by people who are really trying to go that extra mile to make it unique and something that is moreish for you to come back and want more of it. Because obviously local businesses like yourselves, you don't grow and, you know, so to speak, have that potential to elevate your business by selling one pot of cream to a random person. You elevate your business by being able to regularly be able to sell your products to people that are loyal to your business because they've got a good experience with it, and then obviously recommending it to other people. So do you think that plays a, obviously you said there about the process, that plays a big part in the popularity of this particular product?
Yeah, I mean, consistency is quite important.
Yeah.
And behind the consistency is the attention to detail. And Samantha's really good at attending to the detail. You know, if you want somebody who's really good in your dairy, employ a woman. You know, I'm sorry guys, but they are the best in the dairy environment. Sorry, but they are. You know, they've got more attention to detail and more patience than us guys have got. And you know, she's been making cream for lots of years, and once people have had it, generally speaking, they start, they'll have it at Easter or they'll have it at Christmas, and they say, wow, you know, we need more of this. So, yeah, that's the way it goes.
How do you feel to be nominated for the Taste of Kent Awards? What's it like being a finalist, Steve?
I'm quite surprised, really. We always knew that our cream was special because that's what people told us. And my daughter, who's more into social media than I will ever be, sort of pushed this project forward, and the people who've tasted the product, they voted for it. So good for them, you know, good for us for making it, good for them for voting for it. So we're quite surprised, really. Well, I am not surprised that people would want to eat our cream, but surprised that so many people nominated it as a top flight product.
I know you mentioned on your site, and you mentioned there about your cream guru, and you mentioned that your family run business. But tell us a bit about the faces behind your business. I know potentially you won't be able to go into detail on every single person, but tell us a bit about the people who make up Street Farm Dairy.
Yeah, well, the people who work for me, I tend to think of them working with me rather than for me, and they are an extremely good group of people. They're very loyal, they're very punctual, they do everything with the best intention. So running from the top would be the real boss of the business is my wife, Dorothy. She keeps me under control, and that enables me to keep other people under control. And then we've got the Samanthas in the dairy, we've got 3 milk delivery men, and we've got a guy who comes in and does the bottling side of the business. And then Felicity is the social media. She's my daughter, eldest daughter. She does social media and all that side of things. And I just sit over the top of it all and try and keep it all right.
Make sure everything's running smoothly and efficiently.
That's right. I do my best. Yes.
What
They're all pretty pleased, really, that we've got nominated and that we've come into the top three. It's good for them.
I was going to say, what does it mean for your colleagues, for your family to win this? What would it mean to them to win it? You say they're really happy just to be finalists, but would it be nice to win?
Yeah, I think if we were allowed to get together and have a celebration, we would have a big celebration. But the last thing I ever won was when I was at school, and I won a cup for loyalty, which not quite sure that compares with Taste of Kent. But,
Steve, we need to get you winning. I want you to win this award now. It can't be since your school days the last time you picked up. With all the hard work you've put in,
I know.
I'm not biased. I'm not allowed to be biased, but I'm going to be biased for the Kent Dairy Product of the Year. I'm sorry, Street Farm Dairies free range double cream. Please win.
Okay.
Come on. King Hot Dairy, you've won loads of awards. Ben and Hoddy, if you haven't already, you're going to get there. But come on, Kent Dairy Product of the Year. Street Farm Dairy, the 3 finalists as mentioned there for the Kent Dairy Product of the Year. Whole milk by Ben and Hoddy. King Hot Dairy's Kentish Blue Cheese, which is, by the way, delicious. And the free range double cream from Street Farm Dairy that we have been talking about. Steve, I wish you guys all the luck in the world. Thank you so much for telling me a little bit about your journey today. And also, I suppose for the final question, the world's starting to open up a little bit, but what have the last 12 months been like for you guys?
Well, the last 12 months we've been blessed, to be honest, because so many people suddenly realised that food that was local was still going to be there, and local people could deliver it to them. So we've had a huge increase in our doorstep deliveries, which was a struggle at times, but you can't turn it away, and it's good. So we've been blessed. Those people have stayed with us. So that tells you something about the fact that we're reasonably good at what we do.
And hopefully it tells you that as well, Steve, because that's better than any award, isn't it? That's better. Customer loyalty is better than any award, however nice an award is. Best of luck. Congratulations on being finalist, Steve. Best of luck to you and the team. Hopefully you can bring the award home on the virtual ceremony, which is later on in May. It's been a joy chatting to you today, Steve. And of course, if you want to check out Street Farm Dairy, go look at their website. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thank you very much.
Steve there from Street Farm Dairy. An absolute pleasure to speak to him. And you know what? When we first sat down to chat, he'd literally just come off the farm himself. He's still so very much hands-on and plays such a massive part as he has done over the years within the business, making sure that it's going in the right direction and making sure that they're on top of things. And some of the investments that he spoke about in technology and how the world has changed for dairy farmers is quite dramatic. Like now, from being on hands and knees to produce from the early days to now, technology taking care of most of the process is just incredible. What a great evolution that is in the dairy farm industry. Of course, some people still love doing it the old way. I bet Steve does, but if the technology's there, it's there to invest in. So best of luck to them, and best of luck to them in the Taste of Kent Awards. Fantastic to be finalists, as Steve said there, for Street Farm Dairy for their free range double cream, but they want to win it. They're up against King Hot Dairies, Kentish Blue Cheese, and Whole Milk from Ben and Holly. That's Kent Dairy Product of the Year. We'll find out who wins that category in May. Right, moving on with today's Scale Up Stories podcast. I spoke and caught up. We actually recently had Grace from Goupie on a Scale Up story, learning a little bit more about how Goupie have grown over the recent years and what they're doing when it comes to being more environmentally friendly. And it's of no shock to me that for this year's Taste of Kent Awards, Goupie's been nominated in Kent's Sustainability Award. We work with Goupie here at Digital Beans on their digital marketing, and honestly, their commitment is unreal. And everything they're doing, they're trying to find ways to do things, but are doing it the right way. They're not just jumping on trends to be fashionable, which a lot of businesses do. As a business themselves, they care more deeper than that. They want to have a thriving business whilst also making a difference with what they do to make sure that their business and the world is more sustainable through their work. So go and check out their website, by the way. I've got a fantastic category, and I hit on this in the interview, on their ethics. You can go check that out on the Goupie website. But right now, me chatting to Grace, the owner of Goupie, about their nomination for the Kent Sustainability Award, and I started that conversation, as you'll see by Grace's background. She was in their chocolate house. I had to ask how nice it is for them to have their chocolate house in Tunbridge Wells back open, and Grace being able to greet customers. Check this out.
I know, it's really nice, just like having all the locals coming back in, being happy that we're open. Yeah, no, it's good to get that face to face. I don't usually get that, so.
Yeah, of course, because obviously through COVID, you've obviously had to make that transition a little bit more to online, haven't you? So a lot of your products are now being sold online and distributed. And I know in the past, that's what you've been doing anyway. But obviously, you acquired the building to be able to meet your customers, meet new customers, and sell your product direct to customers in front of you. You haven't had the chance to do that. So how sort of is that going?
Yeah, no, good. I think every time. So when we first opened, it was sort of a couple of months before lockdown. We started to get into the swing of things, feel some regular customers, started to get our groove, and then we shut down. And then the first lockdown lifted, did the same thing, started to get the regulars back, feeling like we're in the swing of it. That happened a couple of times. So hopefully this is the last time. It's just nice to, be part of a community. And like I'm usually just behind the screen in my own house. So it's quite nice to speak to customers face to face.
Yeah, so I don't know how to. Can we do this on Zoom? Like, we're doing this face to face? Can you maybe connect via the laptop over there, and we'll take the order that way? It must be nice to be back out and about. I can't wait to get back out and about. But for anyone watching who doesn't know whereabouts you are, the Goupie stories, tell us where you are. What community?
So the chocolate house is in Tunbridge Wells. It's just on Ely Court, which is off Royal Victoria Place. If you know Tunbridge Wells at all, and then we also have obviously our factory in Goupie. So we're very much Kent based.
Yeah, lovely. Perfect stuff. I'll have to try and pop down. I've always said this. We spoke, you've been on Scale Up Stories before, and you were telling us about the chocolate house. And I know it always takes me back. I'm sure it is Hansel and Gretel, isn't it? Where they go out into the woods and there's that massive house made of like sweets. That's all I can think of, that just in the middle of Tunbridge Wells, Goupie have built a house made of chocolate.
Oh, I wish I had and a nice little Willy Wonka river. That would be the dream.
Yes, that is a marketing campaign waiting to happen. By the way, thank you. Anyone out there who nicks that idea, 10% is all I'll take. That's all. I'm generous that way. Let's talk a bit more about Goupie. We've spoken about your chocolate house, where you're at now. Spoke a bit about the transition online a little bit more over the pandemic. But tell us about where Goupie was founded and a bit more about the business.
Yeah, so Goupie, the product, is something my grandma used to make. So me and my mum together run the business. We make it all ourselves in Goupie. It kind of happened by accident originally. She just went to some local shops. They placed orders. And now, we have our small little factory unit, and we've just been sort of growing, diversifying a little bit by little bit, doing some online, some with wholesalers, some with direct retailers, some hospitality businesses, and then finally our own outlet here in Tunbridge Wells.
Tell us about what Goupie is. So what is that product? Why is it different, so to speak, to any other chocolate product out there for you? And we've had this conversation before. You more or less grew up on Goupie, didn't you?
Pretty much, yeah. I think it's the texture. I think that's what really makes it unique. It's kind of soft chew, a little bit of a crunch, obviously chocolatey, but it's somewhere between like a tiffin or a Rice Krispie treat or a brownie. There's nothing that exactly describes it. So obviously it's Goupie, but I think the texture is really what makes it unique, which obviously I can't tell you how we do.
No, it's a bit like the herbs and spice KFC we liken it to, don't we? You can't tell everyone how that works and how it happens. We've had the absolute privilege of working with you guys recently, and it's been great to get to know you more and your team more and more about your future goals and aspirations and working together on those things. But for anyone who doesn't know much about the team and the faces behind Goupie, can you give us a little bit of insight as to who they are and what the team's like?
Yeah, definitely. So me and my mum own and run it day to day. So my mum heads up the factory. We have 4 ladies who help her make Goupie in there. So they're all doing everything by hand every day. Everyone's on sort of part-time basis. And then I had the sales, marketing, and now the chocolate house. So we have a team of 8, I want to say.
Nice.
Yep, 8 here at the moment. And they, serve customers. We bake everything in store and make all of our wonderful hot chocolates, of course.
Oh, I could do with one of those today. It's a little bit chilly outside, so a nice hot chocolate just as you're walking down the street sounds absolutely perfect to me. You're up for the Kent Sustainability Award with the Curious Eatery and Provenance Potatoes for this year's Taste of Kent Awards. First of all, the Kent Sustainability Award. Obviously, we've spoken before a little bit about the sustainability that you're trying to push from within Goupie, what you're already doing, the products itself, how that's sustainable as well. This must be a really nice pat on the back for the efforts that you've been putting in, especially over the past 5 years, to make sure that Goupie becomes very much a sustainable brand.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think more so for the efforts my mum put in even before that, because I would say she's always been a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of being aware of things and trying to do business in the more modern, sustainable way. But she would also never toot her own horn. Like, she would never tell anyone what she's doing. She would never ask for any kind of approval from it, because she feels like that's just how it should be done. So I think for me, the best thing is getting some approval for her. You've been doing this for 10 years now. You're doing the right things.
Pat on the back for mum. Love it. Exactly. Tell us about why Goupie's sustainable. And tell us a little bit more about the methods that go into creating your products. And also, we spoke about this before as well. The sustainability goals, so to speak, not just now and the targets that you've hit, but where you're going in the future with Goupie too.
Yeah. So, we'd like to think that it's at the core of everything we try to do. I think our problem and also our asset has always been we want to do everything, and we want to do everything right. So that's not very sexy in terms of marketing. You can't push it in the same way that you can if you've got one goal, we want to eliminate poverty. But it's, I think, a little bit more sustainable in itself and all encompassing. So it could be the sourcing of our ingredients, so whether it's RSPO palm oil or fair trade cocoa, whatever it is. We put a lot of time into it. My mum specifically puts a lot of time into looking at all of the ingredients, trying to not just find them, but also understand the problems that actually surround each and every ingredient. Because I think it's very easy to make a decision and be like, oh, we've just gone for that accreditation because then we look good. But it's another thing to understand the issue and understand why that accreditation will actually help the issue and try and solve it. And then we've got, packaging. I think there's one thing, looking at the packaging in the boxes, so using compostable alternatives or recyclable. But you've also got to think of the packaging that all of your ingredients come in, and all of your packaging comes in, and how you get rid of that and where that goes out to. And then also you've got your staff, so you've got to make sure you're paying them properly, but also giving them suitable hours and working around their own. So there's so many different elements that it comes into, and I just want it to be core to the business that we always try to do all of them to the best that we can, because you can't always have the answers, but if you try, you're at least doing the best you can.
Yeah, you've got a fantastic page on the Goupie website about your ethical stance, and I'm going to ask you some things. It's actually really nice that you mentioned about the products, because I'm going to ask you a couple of things on those in just a moment's time in terms of the sourcing. Because what I find interesting is a majority of the ingredients that go in to Goupie are sourced from here in Kent, which must be really important for you, because it's not just it's obviously not just about sustainability in the products itself, but the sustainability of the Kent food and drink industry and those other local producers that they're also making some revenue from the production of your product. So we'll come back to that in just a second. But naturally, is all the Goupie products are vegan, right? They're gluten free, which in itself, is great for people who have allergies, but also great as well for the environment, and obviously the fact that they're vegan too. Has that always been the way with the product?
No, so the primary product was sort of naturally vegan. It wasn't necessarily a conscious decision, and if you think about 11 years ago, I'd say vegan was quite a niche concept, so it wasn't really on the radar. And then as it became more prevalent, and specifically as my sister became vegan, we started to think about it from a more sustainable point of view. And we realized actually all of the Goupie products were vegan except for the white chocolate ones. And so then we spent sort of like a year really looking into how we could transform that to be vegan, not just so that everyone can have them, because I think that's a nice thing, but also because I think you just can't deny the environmental impact of that. And it just kind of felt like it's what we should be doing. So yeah, eventually we managed to make them all vegan through some careful sourcing.
And a lot of testing, as it always is with these.
It's a hard job, but someone's got to do it.
I was going to say, testing all that white chocolate must have been an extremely hard time. Do you know, I really like this one, but let's try another one. Was probably the phrase that was used the most in Goupie around that time. Do you know what? I also, as mentioned earlier on, the products, and you mentioned there about the testing. I saw here and just reading from your website now that the lavender and your white and dark lavender flowers that come from the hop shop in Faversham. Your coffee and espresso come from a coffee place in Sittingbourne. Then you've got loads of stuff here from Billington Vineyards and Malden. Like there's a big emphasis here on your products and the source being Kent. So how important for you is it to be a massive part of this incredible growing community that we've got in Kent, some incredible brewers and obviously those within the Kent food and drink industry too?
Yeah, we're lucky to be in Kent really with such a food provenance, and you've got to also appreciate, of course, chocolate, coffee, they're not grown here. So there's a limit to what you can do, but I think it's important that you're trying to do it wherever you can. And also not forgetting wholesalers. I mean, they're still Kent businesses that are wholesaling products. Okay, they may not be growing something, but they're still part of the economy here and still trying to do good things. So I think if you can source it, within your local community, why wouldn't you? It's just seems like a no-brainer. But
yeah, and also it does also sound like a no-brainer having naturally recyclable packaging. But that is really tough because I think we spoke about this before. It obviously costs more. So then you've got to work out how you do the margins on that. But also, I think it was me and you who spoke about this, Grace. The amount of testing that goes into trying out recyclable packaging is pretty extensive. So is there any chance you can hit on a little bit about that process of introducing recyclable packaging for Goupie, especially being 100% recyclable, which is a feat in itself?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, actually, my biggest issue has always been the compostable element of it. Recyclable, my mum was so sort of, I guess, ahead in that all of our packaging from literally day dot has always been recyclable, 100%. Like it always had to be card, and the label always had to be recyclable with the card, and that's just how it always started. And for us, then the next step was always going to be compostable and trying to improve it even further. But the information surrounding compostable and the fact that the word biodegradable is often used interchangeably, even though they're not the same thing. And then you've got industrially versus home compostable. I mean, for us, just the amount of research you need to go into understanding the accreditations and what they all do. I mean, that's like a feat in itself. And then you've got to work out whether you even trust what they are saying, and then test it yourself at home, and then you buy it and it's 4 times the price, and you've got to work that into your costing. So it's quite it's a long process. I think it took us probably a year and a half to switch from our recyclable bags to our compostable ones, purely just trying to work out what compostable was and whether it was better.
I suppose this is the difference between making the right decision within what your goals and your ethics are as a business, compared to just turning around and going, oh, shove it, we're just using bamboo cups instead of plastic cups. Like there's a process to that if you want to properly make sure it works out for the good of the good, right? Because changing to something like that is a big feat for a business like yourselves.
It is. And also so many of the best intentioned new products trying to make a difference environmentally or whatever it is, sadly they have hidden consequences. So if you aren't looking into it, you could almost make the issue worse by trying to do good. And I think that's always been a fear of ours. Like we want to make sure we understand it because we don't want to accidentally do something worse. And I think the same thing happens with the palm oil. We chose the accreditation we chose and went through it all then the whole palm oil scandal came out, and we were like, oh my gosh, should we be getting rid of this? Went back into our research and we're like, no, actually, this is still the best option that's available, and we could just be making it worse, but for another product if we switch. So yeah, I mean, it's a minefield, and you never know if you've done it right or not. But
you're scratching your head now, even talking about it. That's how much of a minefield it is. Kent Sustainability, as I said, for the Taste to Kent Awards, you're up for the Kent Sustainability Award. Obviously, it's great that you're a finalist. We've spoken about how you feel to be nominated already. We can feel your passion about your ethics behind sustainability for Goupie. But let me just ask you one question, Grace, and we know each other quite well now. I think I'll be able to read you here. How nice would it be to win the award? Go on.
I think it would be amazing. I also think, though, we've got this constant like imposter syndrome where you're like, we don't deserve this. So I think it would be sort of a really nice acknowledgement that maybe actually we are doing some good stuff here, and it's not just all in our heads. Or I mean, it would be amazing. But also, I'm sure that the other two finalists would be very well deserved. And yeah, it's just nice to be a finalist.
100%. Do you know what, though? What I think is great about this award, maybe compared to a couple of the others, is that actually the fact that you three have been pulled out as finalists within this category is a massive nod in itself, because it's one of those where, like, naturally as a finalist you're being recognized for the amazing work you're doing when it comes to the sustainability of the gooder of goods, so the bigger picture. And I think whoever's a finalist in this category, not even winning it, just even a finalist, should be an inspiration to how other businesses can sort of change. And hearing your story about how you've done that at Goupie, I'm hoping would inspire some other businesses who want to do more and are passionate about doing more, about doing it the right way. It's not just about pulling that trigger and going, oh look, we're vegan now, we're eco-friendly. Like, it doesn't work like that. You've got to find a way to do it properly. And I think that's what's great about chatting with you right now. And I think the other two nominees as well, reading their stories, the Curious Eatery and Provenance Potatoes, alongside yourself, Goupie, and the Kent Sustainability Award. It's finding a way to do it, like you say, that is the right way. Because you just never know. And obviously also as well, when it comes to stuff like that, if those margins don't work out, what are you going to do? You're going to end up with a business that doesn't make any money just for the packaging, or as you say, it's a process.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to do it bit by bit. And there's definitely things that I still want to improve, but then you've always got to keep improving. And to be honest, just having awards like this out here at the moment, I think that's part of the battle, isn't it? Let's just get it more into the public eye, and that's how real change happens, if the public want it. So
I completely agree with that. Congratulations to everyone who's up for award. Congratulations to you guys, Grace, for being up for this. Well done. And thank you for taking time out for chatting with me again. You're probably getting sick of my face and my ever growing hair at them. Is it every time we chat, my hair gets about 5 inches longer? Like, literally, it's in a world of its own now. I've never been so ungroomed in my life. I walked down the street the other day and I kept doing this. And Charlotte, my fiance, goes to me, you have got vein. I went, I've not got vein. I just, my hair's like this. Can't you see it? Like, look at me. So, yeah.
Plenty of people would be jealous just to have that much hair. So I don't know.
Wow. No, do you know what's scary though, Grace? Maybe this isn't something for this conversation, but I FaceTimed my dad the other day, and my dad's now in his mid-60s, and his hair is like mine as it is now. Wow. I don't know whether that's a good omen or a bad omen. Because how has he carried that on? And he's also got like the same bits that are sticking out of his hair and ridiculously curly, like exactly the same as what I've got right now. I'm looking like my dad, and I don't think that's ever a good thing, especially when he's 65. I know 2 kids is tough, but not that tough. Grace, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck in the award. Congratulations again to Curious Eatery and Provenance Potatoes, who are also up for the Kent Sustainability Award, and we'll find out in May who will take that award home. But well done on being finalists, and thank you for your time.
Thanks for speaking with me.
Oh, the lovely Grace there from Goupie. If you haven't checked out Goupie and you haven't tried some of their delicious delicious treats. Go check out their website, Goupie Chocolate. Right, thank you guys for joining me for another Scale Up Stories and Taste of Kent Awards collaboration podcast. The last, half an hour or so, you've heard from Steve, the owner of Street Farm Dairy, and Grace, the co-owner of Goupie, both on their nominations for a Taste of Kent Award, what it means to them, and of course about sustainability within Kent businesses and new technologies as well within the food and drink sector that helps make and produce local produce a heck of a lot easier. Make sure you listen back if you missed anything today. If you want to check out more on the finalists and the categories in full for Kent Sustainability Award and also the Kent Dairy Product of the Year Award, go to tastekentawards.co.uk. If you want anything from Digital Beans, we're digitalbeans.agency. And for now, we're going to get out of here. Stay safe, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your week.